Good morning. Good morning, people. This is Spirit Journey. Yeah, I'm still in bed. It's my little feet. Moving. Yes, I have a lot on my mind right now. I have a lot of thoughts. Today is Friday. Oh, it looks real sunny out there. I have the shades down. Try to keep it cool in here. It's been very hot lately. It's June. I think it's the 26th. 26th or the 27th. I'm not sure now. 2020. I was just going over my head. Boy, very intense week. Very intense. And even in my videos lately, even more intense. This racial climate, especially after being grabbed, a man, a black man at that. He was a beggar on the street. And he grabbed my behind. And I had that day left my place. It was a very hot day. So let me leave a little late. I left around, it was close to 6 p.m. So it cooled down a lot, and I wanted to just bring my dogs and we go to Central Park. I was kind of feeling a little heavy in my heart. And then the incident happened with the guy, and he used as a pretense to get next to me. My dogs want to find out all about my dogs when he just wanted to get close enough to me to do that. It shook me up, it got me angry, and I did explain in my past video the full incident. And so that's already uploaded. But I'm thinking about growing up, a black woman, growing up and not really feeling that you belong. You're black, but you're not really embraced in the community. But a series of events happen in your life. Many wake up calls about the social injustices to black people, and being a so called fairer skinned black person does not protect you from racism. And especially with the event of the murder of Trayvon Martin, that was like a real wake up call for me. Trayvon, for those who don't know or remember by Trayvon Martin, I think he was 17 years old. He's a student. And in February 2012, he was sent down to relatives that live in Florida. And it's a nice area. Trayvon Martin was a black boy, and he was left where he lived to get something from the store, some candy, and he was coming back to continue watching this television program. And he almost made it to home when he was racially profiled by a wannabe police officer. He was a private citizen, and he took it upon himself to be the neighborhood watchman. And he calls the cops, 911, and these is made assumptions about this teenage boy who he'd never met. And 911 told him, do not pursue him, stay in your car. We'll come to the scene. But that doesn't happen. He comes out of his car with a weapon, a loaded gun, approaches, and he had his cell phone on at the time because he was talking to his female friend that he was being followed. And then the last thing you hear on the audio tapes that was played in court, him saying, get off of me. So that means he was grabbed in some type. It was a scuffle, and the murderer, in my opinion, George Zimmerman, shoots and kills the boy. And it was a real wake-up call to me. But despite all that, no reforms about the protection of black people. It's not people of color, it's black people. And so that was my real wake-up call. And I went to my first march. I went on the first march. Went to my first march. That was 2 years later because they had a hearing, court. And he doesn't win the court. The deceased. The murderer, George Zimmerman, got off based on what they call stand your grounds. So he was free to murder an innocent child. This George Zimmerman, the murderer who got off, he has a white father, I think, not sure the ethnicity, but has an Ashkenazi last name, and his mom is from Peru. So sometimes these mixed race individuals want to fit in and be acceptable to white people. And so they be hyper vigilant against black people. And that's what I see what's happening amongst certain people. So I was very conscious and aware, especially from that incident with Trayvon Martin. So that's what really began my doing videos. And I had a black channel, Black Calm Warning, to address these issues, to inform. I still have the channel, but then I stopped uploading videos after an incident that happened maybe, 6 years? Oh, what's her name? Vista Viano. A woman who was the companion / assistant to this Jewish man. Oh, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but he was the owner of this basketball team, and this V. Stiviano is a female companion, whatever what you want to call it, had audio taped him and his potty mouth against black people. She gives the tapes to a so-called friend who gave the tape to the TMZ people. That's the Hollywood gossip type of show. And then they leaked the tape. And to make a long story short about that incident, He gets fired from his position of ownership of that team, but he goes on vacation. All these black women go on vacation with him. So here, this was supposed to be a shocker, a bad thing. What this uh, basketball owner did, what he said and did against black people, even though no one is bothering him, but his hatred, real animosity for black people, came out. And when I learned that after all that melee, it hit the news for a while, and I felt so hurt about the whole incident. What happened? What he said against this famous black basketball player. So when I learned after all that melee, and again the guy got fired from his position of the ownership of this basketball team, and when I learned that black women slash girlfriends of his went on vacation with him. Now again, people, again, and he's a married man, but yet he has these women that he's involved with on some type of level. So you're going to go. So I said, wait a minute, the black community is crying over this and say how bad he was, which he is, but then you're going to go out with them like what it seemed like something, like a type of, women who go hang out with men and do certain things with men for favors, monetary favor or gain. Okay, that's what it looked like. Not to say that that's what it was, but what it looks like. I said, I'm getting all upset about this racism stuff, but you like it and you're going to go out with them because of money. I said, I'm not going to use this channel anymore to encourage blacks, to inform blacks of things, to try to uplift us emotionally. So then I start this channel, Spirit Journey. But lo and behold, as many of you may be seeing, that it developed now back into like my original channel about black awareness, about black people and what's happening socially, different things that I'm becoming aware of, and to some extent spiritual aspects that I'm learning in the process of my emotional spiritual development. I'm getting very tense lately. I think everybody's getting tense, especially living in New York City and with the virus scare and everything. So I'm on edge for that as well. And then you have all these protests. Yes, there were protests in New York City. And I did have an opportunity to see one of them up close. I was in the park and I heard the chanting and everything. And I went to see. And I did videotape that. But why I'm doing this video now? To be groped. Now it kind of, see, when it doesn't happen to you. See, at one point in my development, When I first started going to college and got a job, my very first job, I was 17 years old. And I lived in the outer boroughs, and then I had to go into the city slash Manhattan to go to school, my college, and to get a job. I had gotten a job. And what was going on back then in the early 80s, you had a lot of derelicts like you wouldn't believe, and a lot of mental people. And I had gotten groped more than once. It is frightening. It's like it's like being revisited to the wild, wild west times. The early 80s was very dangerous, very, very dangerous for black people, black women. Black women were being accosted. And what I started to feel was that if a black woman reports being groped or anything like that, she's not really taken seriously. I'm not sure that when the cops found it took like 20, 25 minutes for everything to be so-called handled. When the cop finally came, took my statement, he said, "I'll take care of it." But to be told before I spoke to that cop, the other cops that were on their horses, who were just so happened to be coming past when I was waiting for help, he said, this man looks like he could be mental. He's just going to be back on the street. And it sounded like he was trying to talk me out of it. Don't do a damn thing. So I said, well, what are you saying for me to do then? You don't think I should press charges? Well, that's up to you. But you're saying enough. It's discouraging. It's very, very discouraging. But I feel, hey, this person could be a rapist or a child molester. You never know. And I don't want any other person to be violated by this creep. Not at all. So I feel it's my duty, hey, to protect. And I see he has a Black Lives Matter T-shirt on. The groper, the one that's grabbing my behind. And when it happened, I went to the nearest window store, and it was a black female. Now I didn't know who was going to be at the window, the service window. They, with this COVID thing, they have like at the threshold of the door, they have this plastic thing that like a little table and a plastic covering, so that when you approach it, to protect the parties. It was a young black female. And as I said in the video, because I told you guys what happened, when I asked her, I said, please call the cops. This guy just grabbed my, you know what? I said the word to her. And she responded in a very nasty voice. Why can't you call yourself? You don't have a phone? But it was really, really hostile. So here, what's going through my mind now at least, I was surprised at her response. I didn't expect that. Because all in this area, and the derelicts do hang around that store. It was a Shake Shack. And they're there. because they want to panhandle there because people waiting there to get their orders. But I didn't expect that, to get that from a woman, and a black woman at that. So now it's like I feel like a post traumatic stress disorder, anxiety coming upon me. See, also at this time when I was a teenager, it's a lot of colorism. And certain blacks don't like other types of blacks. If you're not from their social group or your complexion or whatever, it's awful. This woman looked about late teens, early 20s, and she's dressed nice and neat. Just a regular, very dark skinned black woman, beautiful, smooth skin, but a potty mouth. Wow. I feel vulnerable. That's why I'm doing this video right now. I feel very, very vulnerable. Angry, hurt, as I said in the video before about addressing this matter. But I'm concerned us as a group. Where are blacks going here in all this melee? Whether it be a Black Lives Matter. Did you know that, yeah, what a, see, I don't want to, see, what's really motivated me to do this? See, I wanted to give a background of why I feel emotionally hurt and anxiety. Because it's reminding me of something that presented itself 40 years ago. 40 years ago is a long time. But nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in Black America. Um, the vulnerability is what I really want to address. And what I think is happening behind the scenes within the black community that I feel needs to be addressed. And I think I addressed it before, but I feel it, I need to say it again because it's right now I'm just really edgy. Um, what is really going on? Um, I feel it's like a division between blacks, that we're really not together as a group. And yes, I know that some of my viewers, you may not like the term black, but I'm only saying this as a descriptive of a term, a label that we've all heard of. Okay, the term African American for me is a new term and I'm old school. So whether you identify with African American, black, melanated, carbonated, whatever, I'm talking about us. And I talk about the history of us in the Americas. I said something, it's really bothering me. And it's bothering me because I feel like, should I stay? Should I go? Meaning, should I leave New York? And where I'm going to go? It's all over. New York City is a major city. I think it might be one of the largest cities, or LA could be the largest city in the United States. I'm not sure. But New York is very dense. Everything is close together. And California, everything's more spread out. Okay. So I feel that there's danger for us as a group, a danger of us as a community, as a tangible, thriving uh, people. I sense it, and I know what I'm going to say is going to offend some people. But I feel for me that I have to say it. Now, again, your orientation is your business. your sexual orientation, who you sleep with or don't want to sleep with is your business. Your body is your own business, and it's none of my business. So I'm not going there for you to pass judgment like that. But I am talking on behalf of social, what's going on behind the scenes, which could hamper the integrity of the black community, integrity as an entity, as a group, as a thriving group. And I have to put the pieces together to express this. Okay, so you have the Black Lives Matter T-shirts that are being sold to anyone who has money to buy it. Just like the pervert who grabbed me the other day. Who's benefiting off of those T-shirts? Who's making money off of it? Are these people of the community? What 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 do you mean? Okay. Um, Now there is a Black Lives Matter organization. The organization is free to look with anyone who has a computer to look at it. And upon close review of the channel, I mean that website, what is it really about? It is a homosexual organization. And I did a video on that as well. It could have been maybe over a year ago, a year and a half ago. And I was alerted about that by someone who actually is a member of the LGBTQ community. She is a black bisexual woman, according to herself. And she alerted about that organization, even though she's bisexual. It as a black group is a front. And so she is outing it as a front of being something for black people, but really it's about the LGBTQ community, even though she is a member of that community. But she felt to say it for what it really is about. And it's not about black lives. And I think that's her argument. And I reviewed the channel, I mean the website, and that's the same conclusion that I get by basic things that are discussed on that channel, I mean that website. And then I'm reminded about that incident with, what's his name? Christian Cooper. And when I first heard about Christian Cooper, okay, this happened, I think, a little over a month ago. He was a person that, he was in Central Park, and he told a white woman that her dog needed to be on a leash. And I've been in that, since that incident, I had visited that area, and yes, there are signs. And I took videos of it and uploaded as well. Dogs have to be on the leash at all times. It's a reserve. It's to preserve the plants and the animal life that's there. It's really, really nice. So he gives his story, Mr. Christian Cooper, what happened. Luckily, he did have his camera, and he videotaped a woman by the name of Amy Cooper, her viciousness, and using the race card to call the police, 911, that specifically an African American man assaulted me and my dog. And then she calls, I'm going to call them, she says. He says, go right ahead. And he kept his camera on. When I first heard of this story, I didn't see what he looked like initially. But I listened, and my instinct said something, but I didn't say it, but I thought it. And it was confirmed that my hunch was right. Now, initially, I didn't want to believe it. I said, "Oh, I'm just, you shouldn't generalize," even though it was his voice, and some of it might be considered stereotyping because who wants to go look at birds? Because he was a black man. I said, I shouldn't generalize like that, but it's what I felt inside. I didn't have any proof. And then I saw a photo of the individual, of Mr. Cooper, wearing what looked like the LGBT flag that he had on. But people could Photoshop people wearing certain things. So I didn't know. And it doesn't mean just because someone has an LGBTQ American flag T-shirt on doesn't mean that he's part of the LGBTQ community. Maybe he just wants to be trendy. And I think it was before I saw the photo of him wearing that T-shirt, I said to myself, "Wow, um I would love to meet someone like that, someone who likes nature." Because see, as you see in my videos, I do I like to be outside with my dogs, get some fresh air. Boy, wouldn't it be nice a companion to be able to go to this park that I like going to? And I love to find out about this place called the Ramble. Never heard of that. And I just started thinking that, boy, that'd be nice to me. I was even thinking, wow, I would love to contact this person. Maybe interview him. Hey, maybe make a new friend. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking something, I don't know. And then I found another video with him on YouTube. He was being interviewed. And guess what? He announces that he is homosexual. And the interview it was a fun interview. It was like a postscript to the horrible event that happened to him that potentially could have killed him by the police. See, luckily, after the lady did put the leash back on the dog, he said thank you and he left. That was his whole point. Put the leash on the dog and so he could leave. And so this new video was an interview. I forget who interviewed him. It could have been another, one of the major news channels. It was nicely done. It was a fun video. It wasn't too long. And they first, show him outside, and he's wearing sporty clothes. He looked great. But at the back of my mind, I'm thinking that same thing. Something not clicking. Something is clicking, and I can't really figure it out. I'm just thinking, oh, you know, you're just being suspicious. And then he announces it to the interviewer that he's a gay man. And so now it's like, now that's his prerogative. He could be whatever he wants to be. But it was confirmed my suspicion about him. And then I was thinking, isn't it something? He's a gay man, and why is he mentioning him being gay? Because that wasn't the issue with the dog being off the leash. Why is he presenting it? That's my issue. And that is the issue of why I'm doing this video, of a potential agenda, but using black people, a black face, to promote a secret agenda, but using us as an excuse, slash Black Lives Matter organization, using black women. They don't even have, they only had one black male at the time that I saw over a year ago on that website. He was very young, and everyone else seemed a little older than him, or at least some of the people seemed older than him. And he reminded me of like being the whooping boy in this whole organization. Because again, the organization allegedly started because of Trayvon Martin, and so it seemed like a women getting together to speak out against the harm that's being done to their children, their black children, their black men, the black boys. But I'm feeling like, wow, I think I've been played. I feel I've been being played. So now hearing this man named Christian Cooper. Looks like, he's a well-educated, he's a Harvard graduate. He's an editor. He looks healthy and strong. He dresses nice and neat. He speaks, has a very good vocabulary. But a gay man. And for whatever reason, he felt the need to share that with the audience. What his sexuality has to do with cops being sent on a black man, I don't know. See, what I'm thinking is that, this homosexual agenda is hidden, but it's trying to permeate into, through mainstream events that now is happening within the black community. And they borrow people, homosexuals, that are going to pop their head up in different scenarios to actually, I feel, to promote the gay agenda, to start to make you think that they are victims, but using blackface or brownface in the matter. Let me go further. See, things aren't just by accident. That's what I'm getting at. You could be what you want to be. That's not the problem. That's not what I'm getting at. There was another event that I saw also this week. A Filipino man in California, San Francisco. And he makes an interesting statement. But first, let me describe what happened to this Filipino man. He lives in a very affluent neighborhood, and I think it's a predominantly white neighborhood in San Francisco. He's a renter, and he is stenciling on the retaining wall. And it was stenciled very nicely. It was done in chalk. And a white couple, male, female, stop and engage in conversation with them. And initially, the Filipino man has his face mask on, and I guess, listen to music or whatever, the earplugs. He had that on. So I don't think he initially heard them talking to him. And then he realizes someone's there, and he takes the earplugs out, and then they were asking him questions. And he realized, oh, these people are criticizing. So he puts this thing back on, but they insist. They're engaging in conversation, and the woman comes up to him. I think when the female approaches him, that's when he stops what he's because he's stenciling in the chalk, and he's writing the name Black Lives Matter. And the conversation basically is, why are you doing this? Uh, it's okay to, have, Black Lives Matter, your poster and everything. But this, pointing to the stencil job, that's actually done in chalk. They didn't approve of that, and they called it vandalism. And if he lives there, well, I did the video on that also, so I won't go in detail. But either way, they said that they're going to call the police on him. He said, fine. And he's recording this also. And the police come for him, he said, in about 2 minutes. Again, in contrast to me being groped, which is a crime, I had to wait about 20-25 minutes. So you see that certain things, the authorities / police come to the scene if it's in a predominantly white neighborhood or an affluent white neighborhood. They come right away. But when you're in a big city, kind of, they take their time. And I had to call 3 times. I thought it was 4 times that I called, but it's actually 3 when I checked my phone log. It was 3 times I called the police. So when they recognized him right away. See, he's friendly to, in his neighborhood. He's lived there for many, many years. In fact, he's lived where he lives the same amount of time me. We're both in this neighborhood, in our respective neighborhoods for about 17 plus years. But a lot of people know him, and a lot of the police know him. So when they saw him, they said, "Oh, hey, you live here, right?" "Yeah, I live here." "Oh, okay, yeah, nice stencil work," and then they left. So this Filipino man, he's an American, he's born here, but his parents migrated here from the Philippines, he said. But now the agenda. Now that this event happened a week ago from last Thursday. And then he announces that he is a gay man, and he lives with his husband in the rental, and that he's part of a community, a commune. I think he uses the term commune. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really interesting. And he's getting a platform, so to speak. He's getting recognition because he's stenciled. Now, there was no incident. He did what he did. He did post it, and boom, the cops just left. There was no incident. So why is it up there? Why is he being interviewed? It was a closed case. Hey, they came, hey, nice job, and they left. Boom. Well, I think it's the homosexual agenda. See, he's putting it out there for a reason. His orientation had no bearing to him stenciling, him being where he is. And why do the police know him? Why is he so well known? Well, he said, part of a commune. The gay community is a very strategic community has its networks. All types of people could be of that orientation. And they infiltrate all types of things, even the police, because see, it's a now protected group, the LGBTQ community. Now, again, that's your business if you belong to that community. You could be what you want to be. But there's things being used behind the scene, tapping. Now, this is a Filipino man. He's not a black man, but he says, I'm a person of color. But they're not doing this to Filipinos. The cops aren't beating them up. They are pretty much protected group. Asian Americans are the wealthiest ethnic group in the United States. Also, they are the healthiest ethnic group in the United States. Their position here is not in danger, but the health of black people are one of the worst, if not the worst. And our economic status is one of the worst. So, but still, that they're trying to graft on that his plight as a Filipino American is equated. But now, him being part of the LGBTQ is now the inoculation of acceptability. Because now you have to respect it, because now he could then say, hey, well, I'm a gay person and I'm stenciling on my own business. See that? So even though it wasn't related to the problem, but now it's being introduced. So now you're linking LGBTQ, gay, whatever, and link it with being targeted, thus getting sympathy, getting an audience of your plight. And that is the real issue of priming you for maybe more social attention, credibility, authenticity as being in danger. So you'd be linking now minority, now grafted it on to equate same status LGBTQ is synonymous with the lives of black people, and who's primarily getting targeted are straight black men. The other correlation I saw in this whole thing was that Mr. Cooper left before the police came. That was smart of him. But I'm now wondering, with both incidents, with the Filipino and the black man, a strategy, a plan. Now you don't really know what someone is going to do, especially with a Cooper. He goes to the park. He didn't have that, tell that lady to unleash the dog. It was an event. But I'm wondering, when it was uploaded on YouTube, on social media, and then his sister, see, it was his sister's website or social media channel, is what really sparked it. And it's like, wow, people put things up all the time. People put up things all now. I'm finding for the first time this genre about being black and being black while doing something. Seeing this genre for the first time on YouTube. It's a lot of stuff. People put a lot of stuff about things that happened to them. but nothing is evident, but it doesn't really spark. But now this is, because before George, oh, George Floyd got murdered, there were other things. There was another man that happened in February of this year, Aubrey, who was viciously murdered. He's a jogger, and yes, he entered someone's property. It was a house under construction, and they have no doors. Everything's open to the elements, and all types of people walk in. And there's video of white people entering the premises, and even the cop at the pre-hearing for Aubrey, of young white people, kids, he said, neighborhood kids that entered, and they stole something. But why didn't they chase those kids? Well, again, the race issue. It was problematic for a black person to enter, but not the white people, even though the owner said nothing was stolen. But someone else in the neighborhood, just because they saw a black person running, and so they ran after him. They chased him in their cars. And another person, second person, joined them. And they both were part of his execution. One did the videotape and also hit him with his vehicle, because the DNA shows the fibers of the car and there was a dent mark where the fibers of the Aubrey's, the victim's shirt was wearing, was embedded in the car. So he got hit by that car too. But his story went unheard of for several months. I heard about it when it was almost 3 months after the whole incident. He was a straight black man, but went unheard, versus Cooper, a gay black man and also educated, but his thing went viral. Then shortly after that, did the George Floyd being murdered occurred. Something like that. At least that's how I got it, the news. So how is it that it seems like it's almost protective if you're a gay black man? Somehow you're more protected, and somehow you get more visibility when you're a member of the LGBTQ community, regardless of race, because they have a network and they have an agenda. And so, again, this other man, what's his name? The Filipino guy. His first name is James Juanillo. That's right, James Juanillo. He gets interviewed. It was a very positive interview. Somehow he gets in the mainstream media, this attention. Boom. He gets an audience, and he gets to talk about being in the LGBT community, which has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter, or being a person of color, being accosted by cops, or being lied upon because you're a person of color. And I think the LGBTQ community is being strategically used to promote their agenda, and using minorities/black people to promote, get sympathy, get a stronghold, get public attention. And in the end, Black people will come out spent. Their cries not heard anymore, because it seems like with any time when laws are passed, that these other so-called now protected minorities are getting front seat attention and front seat protection. So it's attention and protection, and the black is behind the scenes and being overlooked, and nothing really changes. And that I'm angry. When all things are said and done, what is going to happen? Because here you had a major event, George Floyd, Aubrey, both straight black men, and initially would have not have been heard, but now this is happening. And then getting groped by someone with a Black Lives Matter T-shirt, and then going to the nearest store that was right next to me, that I was right by when the incident happened, a black woman, and feeling like, what? I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I feel overlooked. I feel discriminated against. That I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like back in the 1980s, when I was a teen, that they didn't stop the guys from doing these things, and it was happening to black women. A lot. Physical grabbing, they'll grab your arm, they grab and do this aggression against you. And I think that the white cops just think, oh, it's of your culture. Oh, it's a cultural thing. No, it ain't a cultural thing. It's called acting out, because you're so stressed. The black men are so stressed, and they don't feel empowered. So they try to power over you, the female. And it's a wrong thing to do. Your strength is in your character. Strength isn't about machoism. Your strength is in your mind. You need to start learning your mind, and you need to start working together as a group. See, we're fragmented. We're fragmented. They're using psychological warfare against us, getting the women against each other. The men feel cockholed, and so they take it out on the women to boost their egos. We're better than that. We're better than that. We are better than that. You need to have dignity, and we need to start sticking together as a group. We're about 80 million strong in this country. That's larger than some nations out there. 80 million of us. But we act like we're orphaned. We act like that we don't exist. We don't want to talk to each other. We just want to feel defensive. And this is done deliberately. We are being taught to act this way. We're so afraid to be next to each other, because what's going to happen? You're going to be racially profiled. You're going to be stared at. And then there's petty jealousies amongst the women. Who's prettier? Who's the, oh, you're going to take my man. Ladies, men will be men. And don't think of life of just what man you're going to get out of a situation. You have to start thinking community. See, the word community, see, Black Lives Matter because there is a community that we belong to, that we share with, that we socialize with. Black lives are not going to matter if you don't care. You have to first care about yourself in relationship to the community you live amongst. And being jealous who's going to get your man is immature thinking. That woman, Harriet Tubman, the runaway slave, she had freed hundreds of black people. And you know what she said? Harriet Tubman said, I would have been able to save more people if they even realized that they really were slaved. That's what she said. They were more comfortable being in the state that they were in rather than being free. Her own husband doesn't even go with her. She was married. He stayed behind. When she comes back to get him and others, he married somebody else. See that? All the way back then, we not invested with our partners. We have to unify. You think, oh, my point with Harriet Tubman, the runaway slave who freed many people, many black people. See, if she could have thought really selfish and say, you know, my man left me for another woman. Oh, I'm just going to take care of myself. I'm not going to care about anybody. No, she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. She was selfless. Selfless. And achieved many good things. And you know, she was about 91 when she died. She lived a long life. So you live a life of integrity, women and men. Live a life of integrity. Yes, it may be nice to have that nice partner with you, but sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things, certain comforts for the group. You need to start thinking collectively as a group and stop being jealous and vengeful to one another. Because again, you're not being taken seriously. You can wear all you want, these T-shirts that say Black Lives Matter. And someone say, hey, call the cops. This is that. And this same person, woman, could become a victim of that same man that did that to me. See, she's not thinking. See, we're not thinking. See, a lot of the young women aren't taught common sense. They're not taught common sense. Wow, this dude did that to you? That could happen to me. I have to leave here later night. And in that area is a whole bunch of homeless men, black men, beggars, gropers. And she could be a victim also. And those other ladies that were in there. But see, she doesn't think. She doesn't think. Oh, wow, collective. Hey, I'm a woman. That could have been me. We have to stop acting like slaves and start acting like free people who we really are. We are free spirits. Believe it and know it and live it. That's what's going to truly free us and save our community, and not having outsiders using our social handicap to promote their own private agenda. And in the end, these same people who have their agenda are going to be your bosses, are going to be the people who are going to own certain businesses or cater to. They are a strong group. And ultimately, the LGBTQ community is going to be about getting your children. The real issue is sexualizing your children. So it's not about homosexuality, it's about pedophilia. Pedophilia is the ultimate game to take a child of any age that they please and say, oh, it's a love. That's the agenda. That is the true agenda in the LGBTQ. It's not about adults of that lifestyle. It's about getting your children, orienting children to sexualize them at any age. That is the agenda. Pizzagate. Pizzagate on steroids. Be aware, Black people. Stop being naive and come together. It is your life. Your life is dependent on it. Your children's life and safety are dependent on it. And again, this is not an attack on the LGBTQ community. No. You're an adult and it's consensual amongst other adults. It's your business. But the ultimate is to get your children, minors, that they can have these union with little kids. And they're in the school system and they are instructing. They are your therapists now. And a lot of these therapists are Black. And they are there to groom the young Blacks in the school system and to turn them into that community. That is their game, their goal. Yes, so I said a lot. I feel like I don't belong here. I want to stay because I'm born and raised here, as I said before in the other video. Born and raised here, and I'm a proud New Yorker. This is the best place on earth. But it has a virus, an invisible virus, that's more deadlier than COVID-19. Where am I going to go? And why should I go? This is food for thought. You can write your constructive comments below. Share this video with friends and family members. And you could donate to my PayPal Me site. To do so, just go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the banner to the right, you see the PayPal Me link. You just click on it and follow the prompt. Any amount would be greatly appreciated. I thank you in advance. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay aware, people. Thank you again. Bye-bye.